One, two, three. What's up, everybody? My name's Trennon. That's Ryan. Say what's up, Ryan.
What's up, everybody?
Listen, we got another episode of the Trennon and Ryan Sports Show. We're gonna keep trucking. This is a big time for us. We got a lot of spring football to cover in today's episode. We're gonna be covering Georgia, Alabama, yada yada yada. We're gonna be doing all the ones that happened this past Saturday on the 17th. So if you're interested in that, make sure you like, subscribe, and I'm going to ask you to do something new this week. I want you to turn on get notifications, get notified every time we post a video. So we want you seeing the video, we want you being notified and stuff. And do the same thing on Spotify and wherever you listen to podcasts. So I really do appreciate that. But let's jump right into it, Ryan. Who are we starting with first?
Yeah, so we're gonna start with Georgia.
Georgia. Okay.
Georgia Bulldogs. It was actually a really fun game to watch. I think it was probably my favorite game that I watched. I mean, it's a spring game, but it was the most interesting. It was most competitive. It was the best game, I guess, out of all the spring games.
Thanks.
JT Daniels looked incredible. If I'm Clemson week one, which as a fan, I guess I kind of am.
Yeah, you are. You
I'm
are
a little nervous. I'm a little nervous now after watching JT Daniels play in the spring game. He threw for 324 yards and 3 touchdowns in the spring game, which is very impressive. They didn't run the ball a lot in the spring game. I think they were trying to kind of protect their players a little bit. Zamir White was, obviously he's the main running back there at Georgia. He ran for 28 yards and 1 touchdown. Didn't play a whole lot. So it was kind of a quarterback, just throwing the balls up and just, it was an air raid kind of day.
Right.
JT Daniels obviously is the guy at Georgia right now, but the next guy is going to be Brock Vandegriff, who got a lot of playing time. He's a true freshman, former 5-star recruit, formerly committed to Oklahoma, but decommitted, whatever.
Good.
Anyway, we got the better quarterback anyway, so we're fine. He looked pretty decent. He threw, I think he threw 2 picks or something like that in the game, but other than that, he looked well. He looked a true freshman, but he did look good. He had his flashes of, you could tell he's a good player.
True freshman. All right.
He's a true freshman. So,
Yeah.
but once JT Daniel does go into the NFL draft, probably after this year, it's probably Brock's show, and he looks like a good future for Georgia. The Georgia D also had a good, they had 2 picks on the day, so good for them. I know there were some pieces that Georgia's trying to fill in on the secondary. I guess we'll find out when they play Clemson if they filled those pieces. But it was a really good game. The red team beat the black team 28-23. So it was a close game. It was really fun. It was a fun game. JT Daniels, the star. The other star of the Georgia team, which is George Pickens, did not play because he's towards ACL. Probably won't even play for the beginning of the season. But Georgia looking good.
I mean, you can't blame that guy. You said that guy threw 2. What's the freshman's name? Brock
Vandegriff.
He threw 2 interceptions.
It was 1 or 2. I can't remember.
Well, in his defense, I'll come to his defense real fast. I will say, since they weren't running the ball that much,
you kind of knew what's going to happen.
Yeah, you would expect a true freshman to throw some picks around the field. That seems like a very very seems obvious that will happen just because he's young. Yeah. True freshman too in the spring. Mm-hmm. Probably guy just got there in January or something. So
yeah.
So he's had limited time with the offense and stuff like that. So
and he's a great quarterback. There's no doubt, but he showed that he has the talent. It's just he's also a true freshman in his first game.
No, one guy commit to Georgia. That old South Carolina recruit that we were talking about when we first started this show.
He went to Auburn.
Oh, okay.
He with Mike Bobo.
Yeah. Oh God, Mike Bobo. Oh, okay. Well, that seems very interesting. Georgia, I think JT Daniels is a really good quarterback. I think Kirby Smart I think this is my opinion that if JT Daniels was healthy that whole time that Georgia started their other quarterbacks, I think Georgia may be the stupidest program in America. That you remember that the I don't know what you call it. He didn't have a scholarship quarterback. I don't remember his name.
Oh yeah,
But they started him over JT Daniels. JT Daniels better been real hurt
in the
because
Bama
JT
game.
Daniels, yeah, he looks really, really good. He's throwing the ball efficiently, locating wide receivers very well. So I thought that was a certain point, a super
Yeah. And
important.
what's hilarious is like Kirby Smart did not want to start JT Daniels. It seemed last year. I don't know why, but when you look at the 2018 recruiting class, it was Trevor Lawrence, it was Justin Fields, and it was JT Daniels.
I remember when JT Daniels is at USC, and I was like, oh yeah, he looks pretty good. I always kind of like some weird little part of me always kind of cheers for USC on the side. I don't know why. Don't ask. But I always not South Carolina.
Trojans.
Yeah, Trojans, the California one.
Yeah.
I don't know. I always kind of like their uniforms, but anyway, like so I always kind of like sometimes I'll watch the games if they come on like freaking 12 a.m. at night or something. I'll watch the games or whatever, and he always intrigued me. And then when he transferred to Georgia, I was like, oh, it's gonna be a special situation here. But
It'll be a situation this year, I think, for Georgia.
oh yeah. All right, who's the next one?
Next one is Bama. Alabama had their spring game this past weekend on the 17th. It was kind of a defensive showdown. Not a lot happened in it. The projected starter, Bryce Young, he had a really good game. He threw for 333 yards and he threw for 1 touchdown. Didn't do a lot. He had a couple runs, but it's spring game. It's the 2-hand touch for the quarterback, so he didn't get a whole lot of. He is a dual threat guy, so Bama looks really deep at wide receiver, and that's even without their main guy, the guy that they're expecting to be the star, and Mechie. Mechie's supposed to be the main guy coming in.
Yeah.
He's out of injury, so Slade Bolden. He was the guy who came in. He looked really good. He had like a one-handed grab. They ruled it out of bounds, but it was
Still.
happen. So he did really well. They didn't do a whole lot of runs either. They didn't do a lot of run plays, kind of similar to Georgia. However, they did do a lot of they would pass to the running back out of the backfield.
Yeah.
So they would do that instead of runs. I don't know if that's kind of what they're looking to do to change it up, but
who's the offensive coordinator at Alabama now?
Bill O'Brien.
Oh my god.
Former Houston Texans coach Bill O'Brien.
Like a genius getting out of Houston. He got fired, but still. Anyway, what are you saying?
Yeah, but
yeah.
The very limited running back play. It looked like Jace McKellen, which is another former Oklahoma commit who decided to not go to Oklahoma. Had the best day. He had 46 rushing yards, and then Williams, who was had the second best day, just barely with 45 rushing yards, came in second. So one of those two, I'm sure, will be taking over for Najee Harris. The backup quarterback, Braxton Baker, he threw for 2 interceptions, so his stock didn't look very hot. But the Bama defense looked incredible. The game ended 13-10. Bama's got some good offensive players, and they got help.
They've got some good defensive players.
Exactly. So I pulled up some of their stats. They forced 2 fumbles, one of which was on Bryce Young, which they returned for a touchdown. And then, as I mentioned, they had 2 interceptions on Braxton Barker, who is, I'm assuming, going to be the backup, maybe even the third string quarterback. But yeah, the white team won 13-10 over the Crimson team. And pretty much all I have to say is the Bama defense looks great. Bryce Young looks pretty good. They got some good wide receivers, and I didn't get to see a lot about their running backs, but I'm sure they'll be good too.
So it seems to me that Alabama's quarterback doesn't seem too great. Is he going to struggle a little bit, or what do you think?
I think their starter is going to be great. I mean, 333 yards. I mean,
Yeah, but they didn't score. They didn't score any touchdowns.
yeah, but
They didn't run the ball.
to be fair to him, he's a dual threat guy.
And okay, well, that makes more sense.
Yeah,
Run the ball.
I'd say that I think he'll do great. I mean,
You
I
think
don't.
he'll be on Tua's level, or you think it's kind of a return to sender for the Alabama quarterbacks?
He'll be better than Tua.
No
I'll
way.
never be Tua fan.
Well, Tua was pretty good at Alabama now.
I mean, yeah, but like
He kind of sucked.
when they needed him to perform, he didn't.
That's true.
I don't know. I think Bryce Young would be great. He's a good quarterback. I think Alabama's gonna be. I think they're gonna be great. It's really gonna be interesting to see who wins the SEC with Bama and Georgia because they both look phenomenal.
Well, Arkansas is going to win it.
Okay. Well, we'll get to that one in just a little bit.
No, definitely.
We'll see which red team wins the SEC this year.
Yeah.
But anyways,
purple and gold team. You never know.
Oh, what team?
A purple and gold.
Well, speaking of purple and gold, we can move on to the LSU Spring.
I like that transition right there. Pretty good, huh?
I liked it. The LSU Spring Game was a lot of fun to watch. I enjoyed watching it. Again, not a lot of running. They just passed the ball the entire time, pretty much. It was 138 total rushing yards on both sides of the field, which isn't a whole lot. Ty Davis-Price had the most rushing yards out of the entire LSU running back core. He had 81 yards, no touchdowns. So he had a pretty good day. Maybe he'll be the next, LSU guy to take that running back role because they've had a lot of good running backs. The big storyline for LSU is the quarterback battle. They kind of have three guys who are vying for that role. They have Brennan, Johnson, and Finley. All three started last year at certain points. Brennan started this season and he got hurt. Finley came in. He had a really good game against South Carolina, but then just kind of fell off after that. And then Johnson came in and won that game against Florida. After the spring game, it kind of looks like it's just a two-horse race with Brennan and Johnson. Finley did not look very good. He threw for 84 yards and no touchdowns, 2 picks. Brennan threw for 116 yards and 1 touchdown, and Johnson threw for 156 yards and 2 touchdowns. So Johnson had the best day for the LSU quarterbacks. They also showed a little bit of true freshman Nussmeier.
Yeah, he stanked.
He did not do very good. He's a highly, rated recruit, but he did not look very good. He threw for 132 yards, 1 touchdown, and 3 interceptions. As you can tell, there were a lot of interceptions in this game. But it was really interesting. The LSU defense got 5 interceptions, and then Kayshawn, I'm guessing it's Boot.
No, I think it's Boutte.
Boutte? I'm going to go with that. I like that.
Booty. Oh my God. Booty.
He had the best game of the wide receivers. He had 162 receiving yards and 1 touchdown. The LSU team also had a really good kicking game. They had 3 field goals. That was another thing I wanted to mention about the Georgia kicking game is their kicking game stank. It was awful. Like they missed every single field goal they attempted. But the LSU team had a really good field goal team. And the first half was kind of, I think it was like 3 field goals in a row. I think it was like 6-3 at one point or something like that. And in the second half, the offense came alive, and that's when we were getting all those touchdowns. But really cool game. That'd be really cool to see who wins that quarterback battle between Brennan and Johnson.
It's definitely going to be TJ Finley. He stinks.
Yeah, it didn't look like he's doing too well. And who knows? Maybe LSU's back. Maybe they'll be decent again this year. Yeah, I think they'll be decent.
Yeah, it depends on they can. The whole thing with LSU's slant last year is they were like, "Oh, we have a young team. Our team in the next couple of years is going to be great." So it's time for y'all to be great. You said, give it a year and we're going to be great. Now, if you tell me this year, give it another year, we'll be great. Whatever, I guess. But God, time to put up or shut up. You know what I mean? I definitely think there's going to be a lacking of the quarterback position.
Yeah.
Now I could be wrong, and some guy could come in here and transform, I guess, into the next Joe Burrow. If that
I think
happens,
quarterback kind of reminds me of Matt Flynn a little bit. He was with the Packers forever. He had like a couple of good games,
Matt
but
Flynn,
never great. You know?
rough comparison. I
Yeah.
made it to the NFL, so maybe we shouldn't. Maybe we shouldn't. Maybe I guess I would like to be
He
Matt
won
Flynn.
a national championship with LSU too. So I mean, hey,
Yeah, and he's a millionaire, so whatever.
good
Maybe
for
I should
him.
have told Matt Flynn, but yeah. So, but anyway, like I said, LSU really needs to find their new slant because if they're not good this year, are they going to be good? You know what I mean? I don't know.
When are they gonna be good? Yeah.
Time to fire Coach O. I hate LSU now, so you're not going to get a lot of
A lot of hate for those Tigers.
unbiased out of me.
Yeah. Moving on. I'm just going to throw this one in real quick. I did not watch this game. I don't believe Trennon watched this game either.
Oh God.
The Miami game. I'm just throwing it in just because the Eric King, who's projected to be a starting quarterback as he was last year, is still out of injury. But true freshman Jake Garcia came in and played really well. He had 252 yards and 2 touchdowns for the Miami game, and that's literally all I have for that. So I just want to throw that in for Miami.
Congratulations.
Don't like
I will
Miami,
say he's the best true freshman we've seen so far. Because
and that's really interesting to see because Derek King's going to be gone next year. So it might be something worth noting for us ACC fans to see.
They'll probably have a redshirt freshman. And they might not.
Yeah.
It depends on what happens to Derek King if he comes back in time.
He gets back.
They should be all right. But
Lost by Alabama in the first week.
that suck. All right. Who's next? Ohio State?
Oh, yeah. So let's see. Ohio State had Team Brutus versus Team Buckeye. So Ohio State's kind of in a little bit of a quarterback duel at the moment. Well, it's actually a trio, but it's between CJ Stroud, Kyle McCord, and Jack Miller. Jack Miller looked the worst of the 3 quarterbacks. He had 128 yards and 1 interception. True freshman Kyle McCord, who is in that mix, he looks probably the second best. He had 184 yards and 2 touchdowns, and the best I felt watching the game was CJ Stroud. He was really able to continue to play with his legs, and then he looked like Justin Fields 2.0. He threw for 185 yards and 2 touchdowns as well. So the quarterbacks look pretty good. It's probably going to come down to McCord or CJ Stroud. I expect Stroud to win it. I think most people do at this point as well. The other guy that came into the spring game for Ohio State that was really worth mentioning was Jack Sawyer. He's a true freshman. He was the number 1 overall recruit out of his last 2021 recruiting class. He came in and had 4 sacks.
Touches him.
Sacks.
Yeah.
Because he's doing 2-man touch on the quarterback. So sacks. He had 4 sacks and a forced fumble. So
hey, the forced fumble, that's pretty good.
That's pretty good. I mean, he is still beating the offensive line and getting to the quarterback, which I think.
Yeah, I mean, you shouldn't do. Yeah, I mean, it's not the same, but it's still sort of impressive.
He's getting pressure on the quarterback no matter what as a true freshman in Ohio State spring game.
Right.
I think it's impressive.
Yeah.
Ohio State's wide receiver core looked very deep as well. Olave, who was a star the last couple of years for them, looked again to be very good. I think Ohio State's going to be really good again. I think Ohio State's going to miss Trey Sermon at running back. I know they have a lot of running backs on that team, some good running backs, but they're young. They're very young, and I'm just not sure if it's going to be what they had last year.
Sure.
But I think Ohio State will be very good. I think they'll probably be in the playoffs as well. But
you think Michigan can beat them this year?
Clemson?
Michigan?
No. Maybe I don't know. Michigan doesn't beat Ohio State anymore. That's just not It's not something that happens, you know.
All right, it was worth asking.
Hey, don't. I mean, I would love if Michigan could beat Ohio State. I don't like Ohio State. I would rather Michigan win. But hey,
All right. Yeah, I mean, what are you gonna say about Ohio State? They're always good.
that was good. They
Jack
have an easy
Olave,
schedule.
I remember him last year. I remember hearing his name a bunch, so he must be pretty good too.
Pretty good. Anyways, hopefully they'll stumble. Maybe Michigan will beat them. Who knows? That'd be great.
Probably,
Uh,
probably Clemson. It'll probably be. I don't know. If I had to make a playoff prediction right now, out of just listening to what we're talking about, I would say Alabama at 1, Clemson,
okay.
Ohio State, Georgia.
Really?
Who else would be in there?
Oklahoma?
They're not putting Oklahoma in anymore after they got the crap beat out of them 100 times.
Nah,
Yeah, 101's enough, I guess, right?
they're going to be ranked pretty high this year. Oklahoma will be. I mean,
Why lose to Kansas State and Iowa State again?
after last year's Sugar Bowl, I mean, come on.
Okay.
That was an
Who did they
absolute
play? Georgia?
What?
Who did Oklahoma play?
Florida.
Nah, Florida didn't want it. They wanted to be in the playoff. They didn't want to be there.
I think, as a football player, if you're playing in a football game, you're trying to win the game. You know it.
I'm just playing. That's yeah. That's just true, though. They didn't want to be there. I mean, what are you gonna do?
Oklahoma destroyed Florida. There was no
just always trying to prove. Oklahoma loves proving their points against teams that aren't in their own conference, like Kansas State and Iowa State. I'm just saying. I mean, whatever, but.
I mean, hey, that's not going to happen this year. I can guarantee you that.
Okay.
We're going to beat Nebraska. We're going to beat Kansas State. We're going to beat Iowa State. We might beat Texas.
We'll see. Probably lose somebody. TCU.
Probably going to lose
Circle the TCU game. And you'll probably still make the playoff. It don't matter. All right, who's next? USC?
All right, last for the big finale. USC. The USC Trojans. Carolina's next week. The USC Trojans. The Cardinal beat the Gold team 27-7. The defense had 3 total interceptions, and from what I could tell from the limited amount of the game I watched, the wide receivers looked really good. They had a lot of depth, and they made some really cool catches. Keaton Slovis, outside of, I think he had 1 pick, looked good, not great, good. So maybe USC has a good defense. Who knows? I guess we'll find out when they play Oregon, whatever that is. But yeah.
So here we are. It's a big finale. I'm not prepared. So our big finale is the Arkansas versus Arkansas Spring Game. The red versus the white. The Arkansas Spring Game, coached by Sam Pittman, saw the interesting battle in the first. Really, it was a first half game, even though the red team did win the game at the half. I'm going to try to find the half score real fast. At half, I believe it was tied. Oh my goodness, I'm falling apart already. This is a hell of a finale. Yeah, it was. Okay. Sorry. So it really was a game at half. You take the first half and you take it with the second half. It's partial with everything. But in the first half, you saw the combat, the battle, I would say, between KJ Jefferson, our returning sophomore, redshirt sophomore, versus Malik Hornsby. And to be honest with you, they both look very good. KJ definitely had the more poise in the pocket, kind of commanded the ball. His throws were more accurate. They had more strength to them. They had more power to him, where he's definitely faster. The guy can run. But which puts him kind of at a disadvantage with the 2-hand touch spring game rules. So KJ Jefferson, he ran a little bit, not a whole lot. But Malik Hornsby is the one that really you could tell suffers from not being able to run. And in this offense, the way that Arkansas's offense works, that Kendall Briles is working in, is you need to be able to run.
Mhm.
So kind of put him at a disadvantage, but you kind of threw this out there, and I didn't really even think about it. But Arkansas kind of threw the ball a lot too. I didn't even really notice until you kind of started saying everybody was throwing it.
Yeah,
So
the only team that I've noticed that really ran the ball so far this spring was Clemson.
yeah, they were the only one. So KJ Jefferson finished 6 of 11 for 153 yards, 2 touchdowns. Both of those came off of transfer wide receiver Mike Woods. So Mike Woods, he decided to transfer. A lot of people are blaming the new wide receiver coach, and a lot of people are confused like why you would go through the whole spring and then decide to transfer after the spring game. Seems kind of crazy, but he was one of the best wide receivers in the SEC, and now he's gone. So I'm kind of upset about it. That is what it is. I'm not going to cry too much. I already cried.
However, the rumors are that he is most likely going to go to the University of Oklahoma, which will soon be Trennon's second favorite team. So it's
University of
good,
Oklahoma.
good news coming in. Good news. Good
First of all, my second favorite team is Clemson.
news.
Third
Third,
of all,
sorry,
I will
third.
never pull for Oklahoma. You are our rival. We're rivals. I don't know if you knew that or not. We're
Wow. Since when? We weren't in the
It's like
Southwest.
1950s.
We weren't in the Southwest.
Yeah, but we were rivals. We
Wow.
border each other. We have to be rivals. We have a series coming up with Oklahoma State in like 2029. So we're
Oklahoma
rivals.
State. No one cares about them.
Anyway, we're losing off track. So KJ Jefferson went 6 of 11 for 153 yards, 2 touchdowns. One came from Mike Woods, and the other one came from our star wide receiver who's still on the team, Traylon Burks. He caught an impressive ball, so I was pretty happy about that. Malik Hornsby went for 11 for 18 for 144 yards. He had a 24-yard strike to John David White in the second quarter. He had 13 rushing yards on 8 attempts. Like I said, he needs to be able to run. The spring game kind of whacks your ability to do that. 228 rushing yards from the game on the day. So I guess that is a little more than everybody else. Split between TJ Hammonds, Dante Buckner, and oh my God, Traylon Smith. So those three combined for 288 yards on the ground. And I think the impressive thing about the whole game was even though it was a good high scoring game, the red team won 30-20. And a lot of the backups came in, the backup quarterbacks came in the second half. And then they just didn't stop the clock in the fourth quarter. So it was kind of they kind of rested KJ and Malik in the second half. But overall, I think the game was good. I think offensively we looked pretty strong. There was a lot of good weapons out on the field. I've talked about them pretty extensively so far, especially in the last week's episode, so go check that out. But I've talked about it pretty extensively. KJ Jefferson, that was kind of the thing was the quarterback battle. I wouldn't say there's a quarterback battle even after watching this, even though Malik did look pretty good. I think KJ is still in firm control of the job. Now, never know what might happen during the season. But as for right now, I would say KJ is kind of in control. Um, Jalen Catalon had a great game. He's one of our outside linebackers. Grant Morgan, a middle linebacker, had a great game. He made a lot of great tackles. So saw a lot of the main defensive guys had a pretty decent little game. I'm trying to see. We had one play, a screen pass to an offensive lineman, which was pretty intriguing. But overall, man, it's like I'm look back on the game and kind of what I watched and the highlight reel and then during the game and stuff. I look back and I think the main takeaways are Mike Woods' loss is just devastating. There's no way to overstate that. KJ Jefferson looks very good in the pocket, very poised, very calm. You have a solid backup in Malik Hornsby who could compete with KJ. It's hard to say right now, but could compete with KJ in the second half. I mean, in the fall. So it's not out of the realm of possibility, but it doesn't seem likely. Traylon Smith and TJ Hammonds both showed off their ability to run the ball. looked very good on their side of the ball, so I was pretty happy about that. Offensive line seemed to protect everybody pretty well, especially our starters. Starters looked great. Defensively, we looked a little weak, especially in the backfield. There was a lot of torching of the defense, which kind of didn't look great. There was a lot of wide open passes down the middle of the field, which was good for the offense, but for the defense, this isn't a great look. So I think that's one thing that needs to be shored up. Defensive line didn't look too hot either. Like some more pressure on the quarterback. I thought overall they made sums, but not enough to really, um, in a real game to make a impact. You know what I mean? So those are my biggest takeaways. Defensively, we look kind of like, and offensively, we look great. So we can score a lot of points, but can we defend them?
Yeah.
That's the major question of the hour right now. Any comments, Ryan, on Arkansas?
I'm excited to see Arkansas next year. Honestly, I haven't really been a fan of Arkansas for a very long time, since I think the early 2010s. I haven't been interested in watching an Arkansas game since the early 2010s, but just kind of listening everything that's going on at the program, how Sam Pittman turned things mostly around last year. I'm curious, and I'm very interested to see how Arkansas plays this upcoming year. I think the schedule favors them enough to get into a bowl game, which should be really fun to see. Yeah, I'm curious. I know last year Arkansas's like big strength was their defense. They had a really good defense. They got a lot of takeaways, especially in critical games like Ole Miss.
State had a good turnover.
Exactly. So
Tennessee.
I think I'm very interested to see how Arkansas plays this upcoming year. My biggest question coming into the season was just like, who's going to replace Felipe Franks? I didn't think Felipe played necessarily great last year, but I mean, he had his moments.
I
But
think he had his best year
I mean, fair, but like,
ever.
I mean, like, I'm gonna go like the Ole Miss. I think that was the biggest game that I watched, or my favorite, most memorable game that I watched last year.
Oh yeah,
He did not win that game for them. The defense won that game.
that's true.
But I'm curious to see, Jefferson. It sounds like Jefferson might be the guy, and I'm curious to see, what he puts out there.
I think the problem with Felipe Franks is I think he had a really good year, but he would have had a better year if Arkansas wasn't struggling so bad.
I mean, it looked like he was running around the pocket.
The team was, we had the team last year is the same team we had the year before, essentially. And that team only won 2 games, 0 SEC games, lost to San Jose State. So, didn't have a whole to work with. But I will say that I think KJ now is walking into a better situation, mainly because of the fact that it's not so young.
Yeah, you're more experienced, and you kind of know what you're going to get.
Mine's more experienced. Got 5 starters returning, wide receivers pretty much more experienced, running backs more depth. Just kind of like stuff like that. It's going to be very impactful.
Yeah,
I think overall for the team. So Ryan, is there any more spring break stuff, spring game stuff to cover?
Not for this past week, but for this upcoming week, I just wanted to throw some dates. I know we kind of discussed it a little bit in our last episode, but this upcoming week of Saturday, April 24th, we got Texas A&M, Tennessee, South Carolina, Ole Miss, which I'm excited to see that, honestly. We also got Texas and Oklahoma in the Big 12. That'll be fun to watch. I think there's one more. Oh yeah, North Carolina. I'm kind of curious to see what North Carolina does. We'll see if they're actually. I'm sure they'll be really good, but
yeah, I'm excited to watch that one. I'm gonna go back and watch the Ohio State and Georgia one, probably the USC one too if I get some time, and then I wouldn't mind watching the UNC game. Oklahoma. I guess I'll have to watch that.
Texas will
maybe I won't watch it and let you explain it to me. Like, you tell me maybe I need to watch it so I can keep you humble. Be like,
There
I
you
don't
go.
know about this, dude.
Like,
Like,
nah,
you're
I
like,
like that one.
Oklahoma's quarterback looks like he's gonna win the Heisman Trophy, and he looks so great, and all the wide receivers are gonna win the wide receiver awards, and we're
Yes,
gonna all win the Heismans, and so I'll have to watch, I guess, to
the
keep you.
defense will be good this year. Don't worry. We'll
But
see.
that's definitely a cool little slant. South Carolina's coming up this weekend, right?
Yep.
South Carolina, I guess I'll have to watch that. Uh, I'm just kidding. I'm pretty interested in watching it. I think it'll be a good game. I definitely think that. But
Yeah, yeah. Be
is
fun.
that it?
That's it.
Well,
Yeah.
Ryan, Boss Duel, that's really in the frame this week. I just realized that. But oh, we got a Clemson thing back there, right?
Trevor Lawrence. Yeah, right there.
Trevor Lawrence, cool guy Trevor. But I just wanted to thank Ryan for coming on here. Thank you for listening to this episode. We got a jam-packed schedule coming up next week. So be in tune, like, subscribe, do that whole thing. So if that's it, I'll talk with y'all later.
Yeah.
Bye. Say bye, Ryan.
We'll